and welcome back to another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. This is the show where I do quick reviews for the movies that I watch, give them a score out of 10, and then add them to my list. So let's see what movie we're reviewing today. On February 24th, I watched Singin' in the Rain, which came out in 1952. And I have to say, I liked this one a lot more than I was expecting to. I'm actually a little mad at myself for not watching this one sooner, since it's obviously one that I've heard of before, but I tend to stay away from musicals. I don't know if classic is a strong enough word for a movie like this, since to me, it really does belong in the same conversation as The Godfather or Citizen Kane, for just how fundamental it is. Admittedly, this is said from a position of some ignorance, in that my old school film knowledge is not the best, and in particular, my knowledge of musicals is definitely lacking. But it was still so easy for me to recognize this as the masterpiece it is. Every single detail in this movie feels like it was picked apart with a fine-tooth comb, and it's probably unfair going forward, but I'll have to compare any future musicals I watch to this standard of perfection. The song and dance numbers here are all shot in these long, full takes with no fancy camera tricks to try and hide anything. Just a whole bunch of raw talent on display. And that makes this movie so impressive. Gene Kelly, for anyone that doesn't know the name, is an absolutely amazing dancer. And that's coming from someone who usually hates having to sit through dance numbers in movies. Here though, some of the routines were just as exciting to watch as a great fight scene in a martial arts movie, just because of how crazy athletic they were. The leg strength required to pull off some of the stuff he does in this movie is insane to think about. There were a few slow spots for me, in the way of the more romantic songs, but that's to be expected from a genre that just isn't my favorite. For someone who actually enjoys these type of movies, I'm sure they could appreciate these songs more than me, because even I could still recognize how well they were done, they just weren't to my tastes. There was one portion in particular where it jumps from one song to the next for 3 consecutive songs with no real setup in between, and that was probably my least favorite part of the movie. I still haven't seen Les Mis, but I know I would struggle with it, because for me to enjoy a musical, I still need some dialogue in between the songs to help establish a regular movie feel. And it's an added bonus if the songs that come along can be used to help build and establish characters, or even move the plot forward. And this is another thing this movie does so well, with almost no wasted songs or dialogue. And then maybe one song you could try to argue is unnecessary, ends up being my second favorite in the entire movie, in the way of Fit as a Fiddle. It's an early song used to help introduce the 2 leading men as vaudeville talents, and Gene Kelly's partner Cosmo, played by Donald O'Connor, completely surprised me by how talented he was too. He's also single-handedly responsible for my number 1 favorite song in this movie with Make 'Em Laugh, which definitely had me laughing. I'm such a complete sucker for that old vaudeville humor, I just couldn't stop smiling. And the fact that the famous Singin' in the Rain number is only my 3rd favorite in the movie should not be interpreted in any way as a kind of knock against it either, because it's still an amazing number all its own. Usually when something is so iconic that even before you've seen it referenced a million times, it's for good reason, and that's absolutely the case here. Honestly, it's probably the perfect musical, and if I was fonder of the genre in general, this could arguably be a 10 out of 10. However, since my list is just that, it's my list, so I have to be honest about how much I liked it. Really though, if someone said this was their favorite movie, I probably wouldn't have much of an argument. I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10, and it landed at number 39 on my list, putting it right here. In between Glengarry Glen Ross and Casino. It's hard to believe I've already watched 2 movies this month that cracked my top 100. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. Be sure to click like and subscribe for new videos every week. And if you have a movie that you really want me to watch, be sure to drop me a comment.